I would like to introduce our fabulous presenters, Khrystyna Sanborn and Heather Huckstadt-Gonzalez. And thank you so much for taking your time to present today. And I'm going to hand it over to you.
Well, thank you so much for being here. We are very excited to share things that we're doing in our program with everybody else, and hopefully you can take some good tips and tricks from us. And if you have any questions, please always feel free to reach out to us. We're happy to share anything that we're doing. So Heather, if we can go to next slide.
Sure. Okay, so we've always kind of been working on ICAPS, but it's always been a little bit of a mystery or a code to us. We had a few different ICAPS programs in the past, but we've always kind of felt a little bit lost. We're kind of a medium-sized college, so we didn't have a lot of manpower to have a lot of different ICAPS programs. And it was always really hard for us because we never could anticipate where students' interests would be or where the needs would be. So I know a long time ago, before my time, when we had an accelerated opportunity, it was a welding program. We started with a bunch of students and it ended up, I think, being like one graduate maybe. After that, we had a program that we focused on business technology, and we had some really good semesters, but then we had some really kind of rough semesters as well. And enrollment kind of went up and down and fluctuated because it all kind of depended on student interest. And since we're kind of a medium-sized program, we didn't really have the budget to run more than one program. And so we were kind of looking at it and thinking, how can we do this to make it so that students can study, have more than one option? And so we decided, we looked at different ways and different things that we could do creatively. And we think we cracked the code to find multiple pathways in one ICAPS program. So what we're doing is a little bit different, and it's so far working pretty well. So we want to share that with you, how we're doing multiple career pathways within one ICAPS program to kind of save us a little bit of money, to give students multiple options, and hopefully not lose out on any of the things that we would have provided if we had, several ICAPS programs together.
So we kind of went with the whole idea of you get an ICAPS and you get an ICAPS and you, but still trying to keep it all contained. And as Heather mentioned, within, the budget capabilities we have. So we focused in on traditional Model 1 ICAPS, and some of the things that we adjusted or changed was that, as we all know, the Model 1 ICAPS is more of a curriculum-centered model, right? You have the contextualized and integrated adult curricula, you have career development, work prep classes or any offerings, you have transition services, technology skills, employability, student support. So we've taken all of that, but we've also change things a little bit to make it more student-centered model. So we're still using the components, but we've added some things, we changed some things to be able to offer students those multiple pathways within this model. And for our program, we called it Level Up. So students are kind of moving up, going to the next level. So here, some of the components of this is we kind of split into 4 major components of this program. We have the orientation and enrollment, and we will go deeper into each one of these components through this presentation. But just to kind of give you an overview, so with the orientation and enrollment, we have a multi-step process where students explore what are the opportunities, how do we prepare for this program and the classes, and we really do a really thorough process of making sure that this is the right program for the student, that we could do everything possible to make sure that they're successful. Then, of course, we looked into the funding, how can we fund these classes? How can we help students to be able to afford these classes? So we looked into braided funding and kind of tried to fit the funding for each student and their needs. And then we looked, of course, the instruction part. A lot of our classes in this model goes through career and technical education. So we partner up with them and, having the adult ed classes, what we're offering and what CTE has to offer and some other options there. So we made sure we looked into certificates. Are they stackable? How are the classes themselves? Are they manageable for students? And then there was just a lot of collaboration that we kind of dive deeper into it later in the presentation. And then, of course, the support. That was a big part of this program in this model, because we all know our students do need support. They need somebody to be in constant contact with them. They need somebody who is encouraging them, helping them navigate college courses, but while still being successful in adult ed. So and we'll talk more about that too. So it's kind of just in a nutshell here. So this wasn't kind of like overnight change and here's the ICAPS, we're ready to go. It took us some time to have a whole shift within the program and thinking and ideas, and how we gradually started, integrating the career preparation, the workplace prep. We had to look into just the whole culture shift here, because, before it used to be, well, I'm just here to get my high school equivalency. I'm just here to improve my English. But as things have changed, we realized that we have to add career development activities. We have to also have a lot of checkpoints throughout the enrollment process with students. How else we can help them to find the right career or right workplace pathway and all that. And then what we've noticed with that as we're going through this, that the thinking, and even with students, the thinking had changed. They're not, as we're getting more students into the program, and it's not just, hey, I want to get my high school equivalency, or I just want to get, some better English skills. It's not that anymore. Even today, I had a conversation with a student on the phone who wanted to start classes, and they said, I would like to sign up for English as a second language classes so I can get a job. So the thinking is changing. It's not just, I need some English classes. It's because I want to get a job or because I want to continue my education. So all of this work, you can see it's paying off, and the whole culture is shifting, and now the students are part of that because their thinking is different now. They see that there's more beyond adult education classes.
So now that we're getting them thinking about it earlier and earlier, once they get excited, we kind of get them through this orientation and enrollment process for our Level Up program, our ICAPS program. So we kind of wanted to make it kind of an intensive process just to make sure that students were really sure what they were committing themselves to. But also so they knew, that they were in the right program and things like that. So we have a few different steps that we went through, and some of them have worked really well. Some of them, we're still trying to think of ways to expand on them because we want to make this even better process. So basically we start with our recruitment presentations in classes. So students that we have that are in the, the right levels, which we'll talk about later, that we think would be successful in our program, we go to their classes and we present on all the different options that we have at the college, options that they could do while they're still in our program, just to kind of get them excited about, is this a career that you're interested in? Have you ever thought about this career? Things like that. And showing them how easy it could be, how quick it could be, because sometimes I think students think, oh, if I if I go to college, it's a 2-year commitment or it's a 4-year commitment. And some of these programs that we chose are really, some of them are as short as 8 weeks. So showing them how attainable it is and showing them, what their options are, because some of them have never thought really deeply about it. We also have an application that we have them apply into our program. And it's basically just to get them thinking about why do they want to take college classes. And that kind of helped us weed out like who really understood what ICAPS was all about and who maybe didn't understand what we were recruiting for. Because we did have that a couple times. Some people thought it was about jobs, which eventually, yeah, it will be about jobs, but some people really didn't want to go to college. Maybe they had a degree that they already wanted to use from their country or something like that. So the application helped us kind of identify who was actually interested. And then we followed up with students. And the first round, it was just me because I had no staff at that point. But the second round, I was able to use my academic navigators that we were able to hire with the recruitment and the follow-ups with the students. And we could have conversations with the students about, this is what this program entails. This is how much money you could make in an entry-level position in the job that's related to this program. How would this work out with your schedule? How would this work out with your goals? Things like that. We also have had some tours of some of the CTE areas. When we had a couple of students that weren't sure exactly what they wanted to do, we were able to take them. We took them to the welding labs, the robotics labs, and our electric vehicle space. And our CTE advisor kind of showed them a little bit about them so that they could kind of make a decision that way. Just because some of those areas are so similar. And so that really helped. Eventually, what I'd like to do is add a job shadow in this section, in this kind of space, just to help students just really know exactly what they want to study. At this point, that's where we do an application for undergraduate programs, because our college has students apply into the college as adult ed students. They have to apply into undergrad. So we do the application with them, collect all the paperwork they need, and then we get them set up for a meeting with academic advisors. We have a couple of different academic advisors that we work specifically with. And then we have like really strong communication to show, this person needs this person needs that. And our academic advisors have been really great with helping students make sure that they're in the right program for their needs as well. The other really big piece in our orientation and enrollment process is we have a connections class that we generally teach in our last level of our program, but we do it a little bit early for these students because it's kind of like a college transitions class. We want to make sure that they are prepared to take college classes. So we do it asynchronously so they can get through the class on their own time, whatever time of the week that works best for them. But we cover things like picking a program, doing a college application, time management, financial aid, all the kind of college systems that sometimes our students struggle with. We kind of build it into that class so that they're hopefully a little bit better prepared when they walk into a college classroom. And last but not least, we go over their financial options. So we help them with some of the funding, and then an academic navigator meets them to help them get their books and their supplies and everything like that. So we kind of walk them through kind of an extensive process, but if they make it through the whole process, hopefully it means that they're pretty serious about it. Funding. This is another big piece. When we first started working with ICAPS, we always heard about braided funding, and we thought it was kind of a mythical creature. We didn't really believe in it. But with this ICAPS program, the braided funding kind of fell into place really nicely. And so this is one of the things that we wanted to really focus on for this presentation. So how this program actually came about is our students, when they finish adult education, they get a tuition waiver for 3 credits from the college. I think it's through the foundation. And what our former dean was trying to do was she was trying to get it so that our students could use it while they were still in the program. And so that was going to be one of our funding streams, was they were going to get to use this tuition waiver early. And we were kind of all on board with that before COVID happened. And then I accidentally found out that we have a work ready scholarship at our college that nobody really used. And I helped a student apply for it. And because she got this work ready scholarship, she didn't have to use her tuition waiver. So she just graduated from a work ready program in recovery support specialist, and she still has her tuition waiver left over. And I said, well, if that student could do it, that means all our students could do it. So we started looking at different funding streams. So adult ed funds, I think we already kind of knew that was with our state basic. That's how we used a lot of our funds before with our old ICAPS. But then this work ready scholarship kind of popped up, and we thought we are going to use this as much as possible. So our college has a scholarship for work ready programs, which are programs that are short term, help students get a job. They do have to be in a certain income level, but so far we've had no one that's been denied. And some of our students make, quite a bit of money, or at least their spouses do. So we started using that. Then our WEI grant got approved. And so a lot of our programs that we have in our Level Up program are also WEI programs. So we started having students apply for that. And then obviously Perkins, we can get a lot of books and supplies and things through Perkins. So our first cohort was funded through those kind of main funding streams. And actually a lot of it was that WEI, and they get a lot of extra support that way. Things like stipends and other things that we could never do through our funding. Second cohort, we're starting in the spring, and we have some other options. And Khrystyna is going to talk about some of those that we're hoping to add.
So yeah, we're still looking into finding more funding to add. You can never have too much funding, right? More funding you have, the more students you can serve. So in addition to the funding that we were able to secure in the first cohort, now going into the second cohort, we also found that specifically for recovery support specialist, a certification, there is a grant that's tied to it. And if students do place or choose that certification, the grant is automatically applied. Like they don't even have to apply for it or do anything additional. If there's money in there, they pay for it. We're also looking into using financial aid, and we've done it in the past with our previous ICAPS. And we kind of tried to stay away from it, seeing that there's other possibilities, because as you know, with the financial aid, there's additional paperwork, and depending on students' status, they might not be able to go through it. So we're looking into it and trying to see if we can actually tap into that to help more students to go through the program. We also have a dropout recovery program and grant in our department, and that's for students between 16 and 24 years old who are working on their high school equivalency, but also in partnership with the Career Link, which is the workplace placement agency. There's a grant that there's money there to cover ICAPS tuition. And another one is foundation. So our college has foundation that provides a lot of funding and scholarship for students throughout the whole college. And we have such good relationship with them that they're always willing to help. If there are students that need help with the tuition or anything else, foundation is willing to step in. So one of the things that I wanted to bring up is that if your organization has foundation department, or talk to them, reach out, because there might be money that just sitting there and waiting for somebody to ask, hey, can you help me with this? This student needs help. This student wants classes, but they can't pay for it. And the chances are that they probably would have some funds to share with you. So it's one of those things, you just gotta reach out. You have to ask around, and you kind of find these things that are helpful.
And a lot of these options might be specific to our institution, but we found out about them by reaching out to different departments in our institution. So if you're at your institution and you're talking to people, like we found out about work ready scholarships through our connection in our scholarships office. We found about recovery support specialists through our connection in our health sciences department. So there could be, people that you might find information out from, that it could be just money just sitting around, like Khrystyna was saying. So find it and use it as much as you can. That's what we're learning so far. So the instruction piece, Khrystyna.
Yes, so we had to be quite thoughtful about how we approach students and what type of student we approach for this program, as there's quite a bit at stake in here. You do still have, as a student, you still have adult education classes that you're working on and finishing up, and then you're taking on additional load of CTE courses or other credit courses. So as Heather mentioned before, like in that orientation and enrollment application process, we do talk extensively to students of, you have to really have a good time management, and so you can handle all of that. So we target students at our academic English language program, and which is the highest level of our ELL program, and then HSC program, which will also be the highest one in level 4. So we go to, I would say, ASC levels, NRS 5 or 6. I think we considered trying go maybe lower than that, but it was not a good idea. It was just too much for students. So I would say NRS 5 or 6 or ASC levels. Now with the CTE programs, Heather can tell you more about it because she knows all that stuff.
So we did some extensive research with our CTE programs. The biggest thing with that was they couldn't have any prerequisites or assessments because we didn't want our students to have to take an assessment. It's just another piece in that enrollment process that we just didn't want any more barriers or hurdles for our students. What we found was our college did have a list of programs that did not require assessment, and there was quite a few classes on that list or programs on that list. Which was really nice. We were looking at short term, so anything that students might consider more attainable. We were looking also for things that were stackable, so things that students could take a semester or two and then go straight into the workforce. But if they wanted to continue after they were done with our ICAPS and, go get their degree or, a bigger certificate, that was also ideal. So we got a lot of certificates and micro certificates. The other thing that we changed from our previous ICAPS is that we only wanted students to be in 3 or 4 credits at a time. Because when we were doing a different ICAPS before, they were in like what, 7, something like that.
7 credits.
And it was just a lot for students to be handling 7 credit hours plus our 8 to 10, 12 contact hours of adult ed. And so we said 3 to 4 credit hours, that's doable. We wanted it to be, something that was challenging, but not overwhelming. And so we looked at different subjects, and so we do have, a variety of options, things like digital media, business technology, accounting, industrial technology, electric vehicle, health sciences, IT, things like that. And what we do is we put students in those classes, and then the support class is where they all come together and they get more of the college and career readiness piece. And we're going to talk about that here in a bit. So the support that we give them, the biggest piece of support is the academic navigators. And what we did was we kind of took the idea of a career navigator, but we tweaked it a little bit to focus mostly just on like academic skills. What our academic navigators do is they're basically our team teachers, but they team teach in a little bit of a different way. They observe and attend some of the face-to-face classes with students, but they don't go to every single class because we just didn't have the capacity for that. And then we got them Canvas access for students' classes as well, so that they could see what students were being assigned or what students were learning online. And a lot of our classes are held online. That was another reason we kind of moved to this model, because especially in our business technology area, classes are open learning, so they don't have any type of face-to-face instruction. So it's kind of hard to team teach. And so we kind of worked on this model where they're observing and attending classes that they can, but then they're also doing kind of a communication triangle between the adult ed academic navigator, the CTE instructor, and the student. So they're kind of just trying to keep everybody in the loop about how the student is doing. We had them email CTE instructors at the beginning of the semester, meet up with them, just let them know, hey, you have an ICAPS student in your class. I'm an extra support for them. Please let me know what the student can use help with. They communicate regularly with those instructors, and the instructors have been very helpful on the CTE side of letting us know, this is what the student could work on. This is something that could get the student over this hurdle, or things like that. So academic navigators have been really helpful with keeping students on track and providing those wraparound services just for retention and things like that. They also teach our support class. So our support class, we have students come in once a week. Academic navigators teach kind of college and career readiness topics. So things like time management, online learning, talking and communicating with instructors, just like general topics like that kind of everybody struggles with, no matter what topic you're learning about. But then towards the end of the semester, we're working on more career stuff. So we're going to have resume writing and things like that for students that are finishing their program and ready to go out and get a job. They also, as part of the support class, do weekly check-ins with each student to just see how they're doing in their class. What do they need help with? Is everything going well? Are they a hot mess this week? Like, how do they feel about things? And there's a lot of ups and downs with our students, obviously. And so every week there's some students that are having a good week and some students that are not having a great week, and we got to kind of figure things out. So our navigators in the support class, they just help students get through 1 week at a time, check in with them. If they need help academically, they kind of give them a little bit of tutoring, help them figure out what they need to do based on what they've heard from the instructors, based on what they've seen on Canvas, things like that. And then further transition support, so helping them meet with academic advisors, applying for graduation, things like that as well. We've had a few successes so far. Our first semester is not even over yet, so it's kind of hard to tell so far how we are doing, but we currently have 7 students enrolled. We started with 7 students. We still have 7 students, so I think that's a big success. They're all enrolled in a variety of areas of study. So far, we've had 3 of those students complete classes that were in 4 to 8 week classes. They're still enrolled in other classes. Some of them are, they're on different little schedules there, but it's been pretty good for them. 3 of those students have gotten jobs so far. 1 student got a job at Rivian, so it's directly in her field of interest. And then two of the other students, they got kind of related jobs that they hope will then help them get more experience to get jobs in their field. 2 of them have jobs, and they, are going to use their ICAPS to upskill. And so hopefully they will get advancement in their current jobs. So the job stuff is really working out pretty well with our current students. Students are working on, a few of our students are working on GEDs. We have 1 student that finished his GED in October. 1 student hopefully will be finishing on Monday, and 3 students are in progress. The other 2 students are English language learners who did not need GEDs. But some of the biggest successes have just been students learning to overcome obstacles. So we had a student at the very beginning of class who got COVID. It was literally the first week of class, and that would have just shut him down probably, but because of our academic navigator, he was able to figure out, okay, what do I do if I can't come to class? It's a welding class. You can't really, join a welding class online or anything like that. So that he was able to communicate with the instructor. The navigator was able to get him a food box from our food pantry. So he, had enough food for his family. He was able to catch up, everything like that. So the obstacle of COVID was not something that completely changed the game for him. We had somebody who, when she got her job, her work schedule went crazy for like 3 weeks. And so the navigator was able to help her figure out how to navigate her work schedule for 3 weeks. So some of those obstacles have just been big challenges, but the fact that we've overcome them have been great successes. And then obtaining the skills. So far, we've had students obtain problem-solving skills, confidence, technical language, just to overcome those obstacles and figure out, the problems that they've had and how to fix them, feel more confident on certain types of questions or problems in their classes. We had a student that was able to have a conversation about bookkeeping with another professional bookkeeper, and no one knew what she was talking about, but she did because she has that technical language. And so skills like that are just really, really awesome to see. We did learn a few lessons so far. First of all, class capacity has been an issue. When we recruit just for the other classes that are offered at Heartland. We were hoping to secure a few seats in some of the classes, and a couple of the classes that we were concerned about, we were told we could not do that. Just because if there's only 11 spots for the whole college, they didn't want to give us any. So if you are working on an ICAPS program and you have the ability to secure seats in classes, that would be really, really helpful. One of the classes that has been really, really popular among our students in terms of their interest is phlebotomy. And one of the classes that we cannot get any students in is phlebotomy because it's been very popular with everyone in our whole community, it seems. It fills up very, very fast. And so we have not been able to get anybody in. So if we were able to secure seats in phlebotomy, it would have been a game changer. We probably could have had our own phlebotomy ICAPS if we had, a phlebotomy instructor. So checking capacity of classes when recruiting would be really helpful. First semester we did this. We didn't know that phlebotomy was already full when we started recruiting. And so we were kind of giving students this false sense of hope. And then planning ahead with marketing is another piece. We also we were trying to recruit for, I believe it was a pharmacy tech class that was not offered in the fall, and we didn't know that. We just thought it was offered every semester. So kind of figuring out the schedule ahead of time can help when you're planning and marketing things. It's another lesson that we've learned so far.
Well, and other things too, planning ahead is a big one. And the other one is reach out to the right people in your organization or community. Because again, if we have talked to people ahead of time, we would have known that that class wasn't offered one semester, but only on certain semesters. But reach out to people, don't be afraid. And I'm not saying that everybody is just going to agree and say, yeah, we want to work with you. I mean, we've had pushback from some departments and some people, but you try other ways. You go to a different department, you talk to different people and try to see if there's a way to agree on things and help out each other. But, find those people that will help you. And if you work in an institution like we do, where pretty much, I would say most of the people here have such a big passion for what they do and so invested in students that they will make things work if they know that students are going to be successful and this is something that will help them improve their life. So reach out to your deans of other departments or heads of other departments, advising, recruitment, testing, scholarship departments, financial aid, instructors or faculty. I mean, that helped us a lot too, to be able to directly communicate with instructors. that it helps students become more comfortable, you advocate for them. So just the biggest thing is don't be afraid to talk to people and find those right people that you can work together with. The chances are they will help you to put all of this together and do whatever they can on their end to make this program successful. And the other part is too, it is so crucial to have the right people in this program. And we struck gold when we figured out, oh, we have Heather, because I mean, Heather was already so knowledgeable about programs in the department and working with our students that once we started developing this program, I mean, that was a no-brainer. Heather is going to be leading this, and this will just explode. It will be wonderful. So that was great, but we couldn't just put all of that on Heather. There's so much work and so many things and services that need to be included in this program. So that's when we decided to hire academic navigators. And when you look for those people, make sure that you look for somebody who can be quick thinker on the spot to try to help students, who will advocate for your students, who has the biggest heart for adult ed students, who knows how to reach out to other departments, to faculty, who will know how to build relationships and kind of further the opportunities within this program. I mean, the fact that Heather mentioned that one of the academic navigators was helping a student who had COVID at the beginning. I mean, she went completely out of her way to get food, to make sure that, you know, their livelihood is okay, that they have, you know, they have something to eat, that they can keep going and get better with COVID. But also academic navigators help in have that bridge between our department and the CTE courses. So they would encourage students and help them and model how to communicate to instructors. If, you know, our students sometimes have such a low self-confidence and they're afraid to talk to people out of their comfort circle. So having them being able to reach out and talk to their faculty instructor for the CTE class, for some of them, that was a big step. But academic navigators were able to encourage them and show them that it is possible, and this is the only way you can get your questions answered about assignments or any other things about the class. So somebody who is outgoing and encourages students and supports them and kind of shows them this is what you need to do. And the ones that get our students, like they know what our students need and they know how to help them. So once you know, look for people like that, I know it's hard to find them, but it's not impossible because we did. So you just kind of look. And I mean, I know that you're probably not going to find a perfect person, but we did. But the training part, the training is important too. To give them the right information and show them how and what and where, and connecting them to the right people in your organization. It matters a lot too. And as I mentioned before, if there's any tips or any you know, advice you need from us, we would be happy to share, you know, even how the training went and what we focused on to make sure that our academic navigators are the right people for this program. Well, there was a lot of talking on our part, but we are curious if you have any questions.
You all can feel free to either type those in the chat, or we are on Zoom meeting, so you have the ability to unmute yourself as well if you have a working microphone and would like to ask a question that way. I am not seeing anything come through in the chat, but we may have some people who are still typing, so we can always give it a few more seconds.
That's what I was thinking. Just a lot of information, give people a chance to think for a minute or so, and then we'll see. So the first question is, what is WEI grant?
So the WEI grant is a workforce equity initiative grant, and I believe it's at different colleges throughout the state. And so our grant covers certain programs in CTE. And so it's kind of like separate, but we have our students apply to that so that they're covered through WEI, and then they get our services and WEI services so that they can kind of get the best of both worlds.
And this is something that college applied for, not specifically our program.
Yeah.
That's a college grant.
Next question, we are planning short-term workshops. Do you have any tips?
What do you mean by short-term workshops?
If you want to go ahead and unmute, you could do that.
Hi. We want to do like one topic, so it'd be maybe one 2-hour session, or maybe up to like 4 sessions on one topic in workforce readiness.
Are you including that in ICAPS or?
I'm not sure because I'm really new. Whether it's ICAPS or whether it's in like a ESL bridge type of a thing, but they just want to have small sessions so they're not like a large commitment.
Okay. Well, I mean, if you're thinking, I'm just trying to figure out if I understand your question correctly. If you're thinking workshops in terms of workplace career preparedness to be part of the program, then you could have just workshops on certain topics. We don't do short-term workshops. We actually have a class that we run semesterly that has a workplace prep in it, or life skills. So things like workplace communication and time management and, oh gosh, Heather, what am I forgetting there? A lot of stuff.
Soft skills, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, resume writing, cover letter, job interview, like mock interview.
Right. I'm teaching the bridge class now with that in it, but we were planning on doing some smaller ones just for people that maybe work that their job schedule changes, or I've got this time at this day. So
I mean, it's possible to do, like, depending on what your program is kind of gearing towards and some topics you're looking for.
Okay.
We do some, like in our support class, we do these as part of the support class. So let's say support class is 2 hours. So the first hour or so, it's like a life skills and work prep in it to teach students to include that piece.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you to the presenters for sharing your contact information. That way, if anyone else has any questions, if you think of something in a little bit, you can always shoot them an email. And again, the recording and the slides will be available on the ICAPS website. So thank you so much to Heather and Khrystyna for sharing today.